field goal by Matthew Wright hits the uprights and just sneaks in. Chiefs win it 19-17 on Sunday Night Football against the LA Chargers. They are 12-1. 12-1. Buffalo lost tonight in LA to the Rams, so it puts Kansas City in a very good spot to hang on to that number 1 seed. Welcome in to the Red and Gold Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Boda Box Wine. Again, Chiefs get it done 19-17. Don't worry, we'll be getting to your thoughts in the second segment of tonight's show, but keep that phone number handy, 913-381-0810. That's 913-381-0810. I know we'll be having some player audio, so I would probably recommend to wait to call until the second segment, unless you just want to hang around on the line for 30 to 40 minutes. If that's the way you want to go about it, hey, I don't blame you. It feels good after another win like that. Or maybe you don't like wins like that. These nail-biting final plays, final moments, and in the end, it just ends up in Kansas City's favor. Now, I will say tonight, this was not the same as the Raiders game. This was not the same as the Denver game. I understand Matthew Wright's kick hit the uprights, but they drove down the field and put themselves in a very good spot for a chip shot. Now, Matthew Wright was 3 for 3 before that kick. I don't know if I'm going to call it devil magic like we did last week for the Raiders. But yeah, I think a lot of other NFL fan bases out there are saying, of course the ball would hit the uprights and sneak in instead of double doinking and going out or just going wide left. Of course, for the Chiefs, their third-string kicker is going to sneak one in. Now, I know a lot of NFL fan bases have to be upset tonight, but one of those fan bases, yes, you, Kansas City Chiefs fans, you're not upset. The Chiefs, once again, are champions of the AFC West. They take down the LA Chargers 19-17 at Arrowhead Stadium. They are 12-1. Up next, the Cleveland Browns. Just 4 games to go. Some unique scheduling, though, the rest of the way. They'll be playing on Sunday, this coming Sunday, that is the 15th, in Cleveland. That'll be a noon kickoff. Then they're going to play on Saturday, the Saturday before Christmas, at home against the Houston Texans. That'll be their final regular season home game of the year. That one will kick off at noon. Then on Christmas Day, just a few days later, from Saturday to Wednesday, they will go to Pittsburgh and take on the Steelers, who dominated the Browns today. They are very much still in the hunt for the 1 seed, so keep some focus on that game, Christmas Day, another noon kickoff. And then it will be the 4th straight noon kickoff on Sunday, January 5th, to close out the regular season in Mile High against a red-hot Denver Broncos team. But back-to-back wins by a score of 19-17. Since that Buffalo loss, they've won 3 in a row. All of them have been nail-biters. 2 of them were won by game-winning field goals, both by kickers not named Harrison Butker. What a weird year. But I do think that it is very fitting that all season long there has been this talk of, well, devil magic, right? What the Chiefs sold their soul so that they could win all these games like this. But I actually thought Tom Brady put it very well when he was on The Herd with Colin Cowherd. I think it was either last week or maybe it was earlier this week. And he said that this Chiefs team reminds him of a lot of teams that he played on in New England. We don't beat ourselves. We let you beat yourself. And, yeah, you can be frustrated and say, well, of course the field goal hits the left upright and sneaks in. The Chargers had multiple opportunities to get off the field there and get the ball back. How about 3rd and 10? The first 2 plays of the last drive of the game didn't go anywhere. 2 incomplete passes intended for Isaiah Pacheco. And then Mahomes hits Xavier Worthy for a 14-yard gain. You had your chance right there to force a pivotal 4th and 10. Chargers couldn't get it done. Toward the end of that drive, right, it's that 3rd and 7. They went back-to-back runs with Kareem Hunt. If there's an incompletion or you sack Patrick Mahomes, worst-case scenario, you're down by 1 with 1:15 to go, and you have a great kicker in Cameron Dicker. So the Chargers had a chance, and that's why I don't really feel the sympathy for some of these teams that have choked it away because they've beaten themselves, right? Denver had the special teams beat their own team, allowing the block kick. That's the Chiefs executing a great special teams play. They weren't going to allow Denver to beat them. Denver just beat themselves. The Raiders snapping the ball too early when Aiden O'Connell wasn't ready. And that's a mistake on their end. That's just not being 100% focused, not being on the same page. We talked about that. I would say in the Carolina game, it's not that the Panthers did anything wrong, but they did put themselves in a hole in the first half. And when you're playing catch-up ball, eventually you can wear yourself out or that defense gets worn out, which can set up somebody to go have a game-winning drive, which is what Kansas City did. But so many times this year, when it's come down to that final moment, this is a team with championship pedigree. They know how to win those games. When Cameron Dicker had the 37-yard field goal to put the Chargers up by 1 with over 4 minutes to go, nobody's panicking on that sideline. When DJ Humphries goes down with a hamstring injury, they didn't panic. And it had been a rough night for the offensive line. I believe the last time they had showed the box score on it for how many times Patrick Mahomes had dropped back, had been pressured and sacked. I think he was pressured 16 times on like 42 dropbacks. And so you lose your starting left tackle in that game on the final drive, and in comes Wanya Morris, and you find a way to overcome that. Couple of big third down conversions. You extend the drive. You set up a chip shot to win it. Yeah, you needed some luck for that ball to ricochet in, but I'm not going to take anything away from a phenomenal drive. When the Chiefs needed it most, they got it done. And they sit pretty at 12-1. They've got a struggling Cleveland team next. And then they'll have a really tough one in Pittsburgh, a really tough one in Denver, and also a tough matchup against Houston, but that game will be at home. All of these will not be prime time, although you could say the Christmas Day and the Saturday one will kind of be prime time because not everybody's playing, but earlier games in the afternoon slate. And I understand that, the point differential is going to be something we talk about. After tonight, they're 12-1 with a plus 56 point differential. Buffalo is 10-3 with a 129 point differential. But it'd be one thing if Kansas City hadn't won 3 Super Bowls under Patrick Mahomes. It'd be a much different story that we're talking about. We know they can win into the postseason, and despite a lot of the adversity that they have faced this year, they've overcome it. I mean, I'm not trying to say the Chiefs are the only team that have suffered some brutal injuries to key starting guys on both sides of the ball, but there are some big names that are not on this team. So when I see the offense struggle, they have a 3-and-out. They can't run the ball effectively. Nobody's getting open. I mean, I just every single week go down the list. You don't have Rashee Rice. You don't have Hollywood Brown. You don't have a consistent left tackle. You didn't have Isaiah Pacheco for so long this season. Right? You lost Juju Smith-Schuster for a handful of weeks. Right? You lost another tight end, a backup tight end, and then you have somebody by the name of Baylor Cupp come in, and even he got a target in this game. No disrespect to Baylor Cupp, but maybe he wasn't thinking that he was going to be playing this late in the season, but that's just due to all the injuries the Chiefs have had. In their secondary, man, even tonight, Joshua Williams, who's filling in for the injured Jalen Watson, also has to go to the locker room. I'm sure we'll get an update from Andy Reid. So Keith Taylor's out there late in the fourth quarter. But if you're a championship-level team, which this Kansas City Chiefs team is, despite their point differential, despite all the close calls, they know how to win these games. They just do. 12-1 is 12-1. And they're going to be favored. In fact, I believe the spread is already out for next week. It is. They're a 6-point favorite against the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like that game's going to be close because the Chiefs just play close games. If you keep getting caught off guard by it, I don't know what to tell you. I thought this was a fun exercise to do during some of the commercial breaks throughout the game. The largest margin of victory this year, and I wouldn't even say this was a no-sweat game. This was a super relaxing game. It was Monday Night Football on October 7th against the Saints, who are not very good. They won 26-13. That's the largest margin of victory this year. I was in San Francisco 2 weeks later for the Chiefs and Niners. They picked off Brock Purdy 3 or 4 times. Offense, for the most part, looked kind of polished. Patrick Mahomes ran over Mustafa. It's a fun game to be at. And it felt like the Chiefs controlled it from start to finish. It was a 10-point win. Since that game, here are the outcomes. And by the way, the Chiefs have lost one of these games, and it was to Buffalo. They beat the Raiders in Las Vegas, 27-20, backdoor cover by the Raiders. 30-24 in overtime against Tampa Bay without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin. The win against Denver, the blocked kick, 16-14. The loss in Buffalo, 30-21. They beat Carolina, game-winning field goal by Spencer Schrader, 30-27. Then you beat the Raiders, a botched snap, 19-17. You beat the Chargers, 19-17, game-winning field goal off the left upright by Matthew Wright. But you are the AFC West champ once again. And you are in a much better spot tonight than you were a few weeks ago after losing to Buffalo for the number 1 seed. I mean, not just Buffalo fans were pissed tonight. Pittsburgh fans will have to be pissed tonight. Because if the Chiefs would have lost, they would be 11-2. And then you start looking ahead to that Christmas Day game 3 weeks later. Still, Pittsburgh's got to get stuff done. And I'll be honest with you, there are some really brutal games for the Steelers the rest of the way. You don't believe me? Next up, on the road against Philly. After that, on the road against Baltimore. They host Kansas City, host Cincinnati. That's what's left for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Buffalo Bills, who are now a game and a half back. Excuse me, I think it's actually 2 games. Yeah, 2 full games back, although it would be 1.5 because of the tiebreaker, I believe. Here's who the Bills have left. After that loss to the Rams, which, by the way, crucial for tonight. Up next, they have the Lions on the road. They got to go to Ford Field and take on Detroit. The Steelers have to go on the road and take on Philly. And the Chiefs have to go on the road to take on the Browns. So you're talking about a really nice position to be in going into next Sunday. The Chiefs will play at noon. You take care of business, though I feel stupid saying that with how many close one-score games there have been. But you take care of business, kick your feet up at 13-1, watch the Lions and Bills and Steelers and Eagles and see what happens. But I will say with as many frustrating moments this year, and again, it sounds stupid to say when you're 12-1. Now, you know how many teams would be begging to be 12-1 to have some of that devil magic? Everybody in the league would love to have a team coming off a second straight Super Bowl and be 12-1 with the number 1 seed. And you could say all you want, hey, they're not built, this team's not built to go far in the postseason. They're not going to get it done this year. But to three-peat, I think the first step for January you have to get done is locking up home field. You want to make it easier on yourself? Make everybody come to you. And that's what Kansas City's doing right now. They are a perfect 5-0 in the division, and they are 7-1 in conference play. They are 7-0 at home. They've responded to that loss in Buffalo with 3 straight wins. I understand 2 of those opponents have a combined 5 wins. But tonight, I'm sorry, I'm not poo-pooing that game at all. I'm just not going to. I know they were up 13-0. They blow a 2-score lead in 1 quarter. But the Chargers are a good football team you have to take seriously now. Jim Harbaugh's a good coach. Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. There are weapons on this team, and actually for the Chiefs, they were fortunate not to face Ladd McConkey tonight, who's an excellent rookie out of Georgia and has thrived this year for Justin Herbert. Now, there were moments that made you rip your hair out. But this was a good team they just beat on Sunday Night Football. I have said it every single week, and I'm sure our callers and Gary, Travis, Kyle, and Rodney might echo the same thing. You don't apologize for wins, and especially division wins. They're tough to come by. And the Chiefs now just have to worry about one more division rival to face in the regular season. And who knows, maybe it doesn't matter at that point. I know there's always that worry about the rust having too much time off. I don't really worry about it when it comes to this team. With this coach, with this quarterback, with this tight end, with this home field advantage. They know how to play in the postseason. They're not going to be shell-shocked by having 2 weeks off. And in fact, this team's going to need the extra rest. So you take care of business against Cleveland, Houston, and Pittsburgh. Not that you need to win every single one of them, because I feel like some of those teams chasing you, they might slip up themselves. But hell, you go into the new year, 2025, one more game to go in the regular season. Let's say in a perfect world, you're 14-1 or 13-2, and you can rest your starters against Denver and just gear up for that first round bye and then wait for the divisional round. Get as healthy as possible, because we still know this team is dealing with injuries. Try to be as close to 100% as you can be, and then you try to go for that three-peat. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, at least I am. But tonight, I think it's kind of crazy with how fast this season's gone that you can really start to evaluate what the postseason may look like. 4 games left, 2 of them against the AFC North, 1 against the AFC South, 1 of them against Denver. And you're 12-1. How many close calls you've had, it really doesn't matter that the game against the Raiders and the game against Carolina came down to the wire. That shows you know how to win, right? And even last year, the Chiefs didn't blow out anybody. And it didn't matter when it was all said and done, because we know it's a different version of this team come January. You're hoping you're going to have Harrison Butker back, but the cool thing about it is Spencer Schrader and Matthew Wright have just done their job. They really have. In fact, I think the only missed kick was Matthew Wright's like 56 or 57-yarder right before the half against the Raiders. They've hit the chip shots. Matthew Wright had a 50-yarder to put the Chiefs back out in front in the second half tonight. That was a huge kick. It's just little moments like that. That's what championship teams do. Whether it be a practice squad guy, whether it be a guy that's not even on a roster, that was Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt wasn't playing for anybody. Isaiah Pacheco goes down, they bring him in. He fills in just nicely. Now Pacheco's back. Kareem Hunt takes a little bit of a back seat. We'll see what type of role he has in January. But as for the special teams unit, like when Harrison Butker's back, they're not going to have Matthew Wright and Spencer Schrader on the roster. They're hopefully going to be waiting there on the practice squad in case they need him, but hopefully you don't. But the fact that Matthew Wright can have a game like this, you find a way to get back to the Super Bowl, you didn't get it done without Matthew Wright. They won tonight's game in large part to the efficiency and the success of somebody like Matthew Wright. All right, we're going to play our first clip of a little piece of audio here. Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Matthew Wright were all down on the field with Melissa Stark. Here is that interview now.
Who's there with you, Melissa?
Well, Chris is here for emotional support, and Patrick wants to give him his game ball. So here you go, Chris. Guys, 15th straight one-score game. Patrick, how do you guys keep doing this?
Yeah, we believe in each other. You know, it's never one group. It's everybody, offense, defense, special teams, and that's what the special teams do. And so I was glad that Matt was able to knock that thing through, and we got the win.
And it's being called the doink for the division, but you don't really like that, do you?
I'm just glad it went in. I wish it went right down the middle, but 3's 3.
How nerve-wracking was that?
Every kick's a little nerve-wracking. Try to just blur it out and just do what I do, but yeah, that one's a little extra nerve-wracking.
All right, Chris, come on over here. You told me you like these close wins. Why?
We keep the ratings, baby. Keep the ratings. It's an exciting game. Getting prepared for later on in the playoffs. We know every game is going to be tight. Every game is going to be similar atmosphere to this. Very tight, very close. Maybe come down to a field goal to win the game, and we know how to close.
And it did this time. So you said that these close wins are motivating. How motivated are you right now?
Yeah, I mean, we won the division. It's the first step. We got a lot more goals that we want to go for. We're going to keep building, keep getting better, and hopefully keep winning football games.
Chris, I'll finish with you. You guys clinch the division. 9th straight. I mean, what goes through your mind when you hear that?
Just the coaches, the organization we have, the preparation we go through year in and year out. To do that nine straight division titles, I mean, takes a lot of luck, takes a lot of commitment, and takes a lot of hard work. So
it's been here, so that's one common factor.
Ever since Chris has been here.
Yeah, I've been
so we're glad you got Patrick's game ball. Matthew, awesome job. Way to close it out. Congratulations, guys.
All right, that was Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, and the hero Matthew Wright with Melissa Stark right after the game. The Chiefs, for the 9th consecutive year, are champions of the AFC West. Right before we hit a break, do want to hear from Xavier Worthy, who had the chance to be interviewed on Westwood One.
Xavier, tell me what was going through your mind when you saw that kick go up.
Man, as soon as I see it hit the goalpost, man, my head dropped and everybody started cheering, and it's just tears from now on.
What goes through your guys' mind on the sideline? This is now your 10th comeback win.
Man, it's just like we find ways to win, and that's what a good football team does. At the end of the day, it's all about executing in the right time, and I feel like we do that well. Also, in the second half, you saw the Chargers make a comeback, take that lead, and then you guys got the lead. They took it back again. What's the talk as far as the offense and getting the lead back? Man, we work the situation so much, so it's kind of like the back of our hand is going out there and executing at a high level.
Xavier, tell me what this season has been like for you. It feels like you're getting more and more comfortable as this season goes along.
Man, absolutely. It's just a learning curve. I mean, you coming from college, just like coming from high school to college. It's a learning curve, and I feel like I'm taking that on.
Xavier, congratulations on the win tonight. We appreciate a few minutes. Stay healthy. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
And that was Xavier Worthy on Westwood One right after the game. The impressive part to me about this 9th consecutive AFC West title, on top of it just being 9 straight AFC West titles, it was a tough division this year. The Chargers, they're going to be a playoff team. They're 8-5. Denver, they're going to be a playoff team. They're 8-5 right now. You look at the rest of the divisions in the AFC, Buffalo doesn't have another team other than them that's above 500. Miami 6-7. The Jets and Patriots are both 3-10. You look at the AFC North, in my opinion, I thought going in was going to be the toughest AFC division. 10-3 is Pittsburgh. Baltimore's 8-5. Then you got 4-8 Cincinnati and 3-10 Cleveland. The South has only one team with a winning record. That's the Texans at 8-5. So the AFC West is the only team in the AFC, or the only division in the AFC, that has 3 teams above 500, though it might cancel out a little bit with the Raiders being 2-11, and they do have the worst record in the AFC. But very impressive. They're 12-1, 4 games to go as the Chiefs will try to lock up that number 1 seed in the AFC. All right, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to get to your thoughts, and we're going to have some player audio. Might have to just be on our toes a little bit. Not sure when they're going to be at the podium. If you listened last week, you saw us trying to juggle with that. So hopefully we can have a timely situation where we can get to the players and then we can get to your thoughts right here on the Red and Gold Postgame Show, brought to you by Boda Box Wine on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Division is the Central Bank of the Midwest play of the game. Matthew Wright, as time expires, just calling it off the backboard. Bank shot. Left upright, up and in. The doink for the division. As Mike Tirico just called it, Chiefs beat the Chargers 19-17. They are 12-1. They've won 3 in a row. They are undefeated in the AFC West this year. They are undefeated at home. And with Buffalo's loss tonight, they're feeling pretty good about the number 1 seed. You are tuned in to the Red and Gold Postgame Show, brought to you by Boda Box Wine. Kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Boda Box, the ultimate tailgate wine. Boda Box, this is how we Boda. Please drink responsibly. Sponsored by Boda Box Vineyards, Manteca, California. Well, any minute now, we're going to be hearing from Clark Hunt. It's not very often that we get him at the podium. We want to make sure we don't have any interruptions there, so we will go to him live as soon as we get the go-ahead. But after that, we will be getting the thoughts from Gary, Travis, Kyle, Jerry, and Rodney. Appreciate your guys' patience. But as you know, in calling in for the second segment, that we will have some player and sometimes front office personnel that will hop on the podium that we take live. But again, wild stuff at Arrowhead Stadium tonight. And I think in previous years, when you looked at a Chiefs and Chargers matchup, a 19-17 win in the final seconds, I think you would have walked away feeling the same way you did last week or last Friday when they barely beat the Raiders. I didn't feel too good. I actually thought for the most part, the first half Chiefs is the Chiefs you could see in the postseason. And they're not even at full strength just yet. Like, that could be the defense that you get in the postseason. Maybe not. But I also think it was a good offense they went up against tonight. No, they didn't have Ladd McConkey, speaking of the Chargers, and they didn't have J.K. Dobbins. But they still had Justin Herbert. And Quentin Johnson looked good tonight. I thought Gus Edwards looked good tonight. The Chargers had a couple of bad moments with their line, but overall I thought the protection was pretty good. They held them to a handful of field goals. Or actually just one field goal now that I think about it. One field goal in the fourth quarter. They did give up 14. I think it was back-to-back drives that the Chargers had to take the lead. But the defense did have its moments, and honestly, the offense, that drive they had before halftime, I thought that was a picture-perfect drive. Got it to who you needed to get it to. Patrick Mahomes was efficient. Couple of big conversions. Now, the running game didn't really take off tonight. Isaiah Pacheco, 14 for 55. The good news there is that he wasn't on a pitch count. Right? He wasn't going to only get 6 to 7 carries. I thought they could have ran it a little bit more. We'll get to that a little bit later on because right now we got Clark Hunt at the podium.
On a hard-fought win tonight and clinching another AFC West division title. It's a tremendous accomplishment. My hat goes off to Andy and the players for sticking with it. Obviously, tonight was another very close game. It seems like every time we play the Chargers, the games are like this, and we certainly overall have had a bunch like that this year. Go ahead and open it up.
Clark, to that point, I think this is the 6th or 7th time, depending on how you evaluate it, that you guys won on the last play. What's that like from your perspective over these last couple of months?
Well, I'm certainly glad that we've ended up on the winning side of those games. As we've been going through it, I've thought a lot about last year, where we had a lot of close games, and they tended to go the other way, particularly in November, December. We really had a challenging stretch. So it's a credit to the level of competition in the National Football League. All these guys are professionals. They're very talented. And, our guys have hung in there and found ways to get the W at the end of the game.
I hope I phrased this right. When you guys won the first of these AFC West titles, it was a different kind of breakthrough than it is now. Do you remember what that meant then, and what does it do for the franchise now to keep winning these?
Yeah. Well, you certainly never take them for granted. I do think in a lot of ways when you do something for the first time, it's more special, and that was not the first time we'd ever won the division. But when we started this streak of 9, I think we were all really excited. We didn't know what was ahead of us. It's been a very special time period for the Kansas City Chiefs, an amazing era of Chiefs football, and the credit for that, goes to Andy, Brett, and their staffs. They've just done a phenomenal job. And I ought to mention the injuries this year. We certainly have had a lot of injuries, particularly at the receiver position. And Brett and his team have done a fantastic job every week, finding a solution, finding somebody who can come in and help us.
Just considering all the last year, it's clear the organization's all in on the 3 titles in a row. I was just wondering how important, I know long way to go, but how important is that as far as, from your perspective and wanting to accomplish that?
Yeah. Obviously, it's a big goal for us. Winning the Super Bowl is the goal every year. If we do it this year, we'll do something that no NFL team has ever done, which is really special. We try to balance that with the long-term perspective. Our goal is to consistently compete for championships, and you've got to be thoughtful in your roster management when you're trying to do that. But Brett and his guys do a tremendous job with that. He's found guys that work within our limited salary cap resources, and they've been able to come in and contribute. DJ Humphries is an example of that tonight.
What's been your direction to Brett and Andy about balancing that, trying to win a 3rd straight, but also not jeopardizing future years? What's been your direction?
It's really been no different than it's been since they've been here. We've tried to be thoughtful about making sure we're giving ourselves the best chance to win this year, but also putting ourselves in a position where we can win next year and the year after that. As I think about it, head coaches are very much focused on the year at hand, and really they're focused on the week at hand. A really good general manager will be thinking not only about this year, but about the next couple of years. And I think it's part of my role to help the organization think long term. But certainly we have an opportunity to do something, as I said, that's never been done, and we're definitely all in on it.
So when you say it's been part of your role to think long term, help them think long term, what's been your direction there in that regard?
Well, we want to put the best team we can on the field every year, and it's just a balance. It's a balancing act, right? You've got the salary cap, and you've got to work with that. It has limitations. To some degree, you can pull some of the salary cap forward if you need to help you in a particular situation like we've had this year, and we've done that a little bit.
On the front, on the injury side, I saw you meeting DJ Humphries for the first time as you were walking through the locker room. You've had a lot of people this year. Is there more injuries and things like that than you've ever had?
Well, I'm sure it feels like that, but statistically, probably not. I'm sure we could go back and find a year where we've had more injuries, but it feels like we've had a lot of very important injuries. That was actually not the first time I'd met DJ. We had a chance to say a quick hello in the hall a week ago, but I hadn't had a chance to visit with him, see how his family's doing, see if he's found a place to live. So it was good to be able to do that.
Okay, last one, just fun stuff. SMU, college football playoff.
Well, I did one better than that. I actually attended the game. And it was an amazing game, an amazing comeback. Didn't go SMU's way last night, but today they got the good news that they made the playoffs, which is an incredible achievement in their first year in a power conference.
Thanks, Clark.
All right, that was Clark Hunt up at the podium. We should be getting Matthew Wright any moment now, and then after that, we will be able to get to your thoughts on the Chiefs' 19-17 victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. A little bit of a rundown from earlier in the day. Some scores from around the league. The Rams took down the Bills, a wild one. That was very fun to watch. 44-42 in favor of the Rams, who now move to 7-6. Buffalo falls to 10-3. The Niners win 38-13 over the Chicago Bears. And now I'm actually told that it might be a little bit longer until Matthew Wright gets there. So we should be able to take phone calls, assuming Dylan gives me the thumbs up now. So let's go to the phone lines and hear from Travis. Travis, you're on the Red and Gold Postgame Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys. So I got to be honest, I don't really feel bad about this win at all, especially watching Carolina play. They've been really good since they played against us. I mean, they took Philly to the wire. They probably should have won that game if Xavier Legette catches that football. So, I mean, I don't feel bad about that win. That was on the road. The Chargers have the number one scoring defense in football. I mean, yeah, we only put up 19 points, but we put up 19 points against the number one scoring defense in football with shady offensive line play, which, by the way, I do want to point out, Humphreys struggled at times. It's his first game back in a long time. Some of that was on the interior tonight. Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith did not have their best nights tonight. And so that wasn't all on the tackles. I thought the tackles were victims of the interior actually failing a little bit. That was just kind of what I saw. But my biggest issue is the defense. The defense is scary, man. Like, I don't know what they're going to do to fix the secondary, and I don't think it's all the cornerbacks. I don't think the safeties are playing good either. Jamari Connor's playing out of position. He's not a slot corner. You got to get him off the slot and put somebody there. If Joshua Williams is okay, I'm totally fine with doing Joshua Williams, Steven Nelson, whoever else, and putting McDuffie back in the slot and maybe putting Jamari Connor and rotating him and Brian Cook, because Brian Cook looked lost tonight. I think that the biggest issue that the Chiefs are going to have is they need to get the offensive line to play together, which I think they will by the time playoffs start. But that secondary, man, it's bad. I don't know what happened between last year and this year. I find it hard to believe that it's all because Jalen Watson, who was somebody that we all thought could be good, but, I mean, he's not a shutdown corner. Losing Jalen Watson does not create this big of an issue on a defense, in my personal opinion. I don't know what has slacked or what has changed, but it's not just Jalen Watson. The secondary as a whole is plain awful. So if they can fix those two areas between now and the playoffs, I mean, I don't know. I feel pretty good about tonight overall, though. I mean, even with the holes in the defense, I feel good, man. That's a playoff team we just beat, a division rival. It's supposed to be close and sloppy and gross. Take the win, guys. Feel good about it. That's all I got. Thanks.
Absolutely. Great call there from Travis. And I do want to highlight on the secondary there a little bit. I do think, looking at last year, I mean, L'Jarius Sneed is not who he was last year, this year. So moving on from L'Jarius Sneed was the right move. But having him last year as your number one corner, you were able to slide Trent McDuffie over to the slot. I mean, the secondary was solid. To have those two types of players in your secondary helps a lot, right? And Jalen Watson being there as a number 3, I mean, right now, they're just so banged up back there. But I don't want to put everything on the secondary because I also got a bone to pick with the pass rush. Like, if you have a weaker secondary, I mean, tonight, Keith Taylor's having to go out there because Joshua Williams had a chest injury. When Keith Taylor's going out there, you know they're already thin back there. It's about getting to the quarterback at that point, and Chris Jones does a lot back there. But Chris Jones takes on a lot of double teams. So it's going to come down to George Karlaftis. It's going to come down to Turk Wharton. He did have a sack tonight. It's going to come down to Charles Omenihu. You have better pass rushes. You're not having to rely on some of those guys to defend 10, 15, 20 yards down the field. But some of those things tonight, it's inexcusable. Getting burned like that in the secondary, busted coverage, just not communicating, having Nick Bolton out there one-on-one, those are things I'm not too high on. And I do want to compliment some of the throws Justin Herbert made. But this defense, the first half that they had, that's what I want to wrap up with a bow and say that's what we can see again. That's the type of defense that can shut down somebody in the postseason, because Justin Herbert's a damn good quarterback. It's not like they were shutting down Aiden O'Connell, which they couldn't do last week, but it's not like you're shutting down a backup, right? If they shut down Jameis Winston next week, or he throws 3 picks and has more pick sixes, I'm not feeling as good about it as I did in the first half tonight with the way they looked against Justin Herbert. But if you're worried about the secondary, you're worried about this defense, I can't really convince you otherwise right now because they are still making some brutal mistakes that could be very costly come January. All right, let's go back to the phone lines and hear from Kyle. Kyle, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Good show, like always.
Appreciate it, man.
I got 3 points I want to make real quick. The last caller made a very good point. But, man, there is a problem with – now, I will agree. I think our interior did get beat a little bit. But Jaron Taylor, he slipped in the – there was a play where he slipped in the grass or something, and I get it. Things happen. But we've had this problem with Jaron Taylor, and Jaron Taylor actually made some – I thought our tackles looked – I thought our left tackle looked better today. Yeah, he struggled being a first game back and all. But Jaron Taylor, I think that's going to be a problem all year long. I think Jaron Taylor is who he is, and that's who he's going to be. And we're going to have to deal with that. But it's just kind of frustrating when it's the little things that bug me that we should be getting right, and we're not working on the little things. That's just my opinion. That's my first key point. But if Jaron Taylor would just work on the little things, we'd be fine. But he's not doing the little things correctly. So that's my first point. Second point is the wide receivers and I thought, you know what? It's our offense. We're driving down the field, even though with our offensive line issues, we're still driving the ball down the field, and that is, with the wide receivers being out, but with Hopkins and Juju Smith-Schuster, I think coming back from injury, Travis Kelce, everybody played good in the running game. Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, they have some good runs today, and I was really impressed with the running game to set the play action game. We went back, and that goes back to the little things. The passing game, we worked on the running game, and then the passing game, set up the play action passes, and that got some of our guys. And I thought that was a really huge key was our running game and our wide receivers doing what they do. I know Hopkins had a drop, but you have to give kudos to the Chargers defense on that play when Hopkins had the ball in his hands and then the Chargers made that huge hit. That's not on Hopkins. That's just a good play on the defense. But other than that, the wide receivers tied in. The offense looked better. Play call. I'm not talking about offensive line, but the style play. The style play looked better today. The running game, the passing game, everything looked really good against a really good Chargers defense. So that's what I'm going to give credit there. Number 3 is, where is Justin Reid? I know he's kicking the ball, and I'm glad we got him on a kick, guy. But his job is a safety, for crying out loud. And I don't see anybody talking about Justin Reid. He's had a couple bad games now. Where is he supposed to be? Our safeties have been an issue. And Justin Reid, I feel like he's struggling this year. I don't know if it's just me that's seeing it. Maybe it's just me. But this is what I want to ask you. Where is Justin Reid on the field? What is he? He is nowhere to be seen. And when he is, he's either 20 yards behind the wide receiver. Where is he? Why isn't he? I thought his job was to help the corners cover, and he's like blowing. Where is Justin Reid? But other than that, what a huge, huge win. You can't apologize for winning. And this was an ugly. Division games are always going to be ugly. That's what the last caller made. He made a good point there. But you can't apologize for winning. And get this, though. I've always said this. As long as we got Patrick Mahomes, we are going to be Super Bowl contenders for years to come. And it's shown tonight. It's shown why. And, guys, by the way, you don't have to have style points for winning games. The Detroit Lions are putting up style points. You have other Buffalo Bills putting up style points. But we're a championship team, and that's the difference between the style pointers and the championship. We are built for a championship. The other teams are just now trying to catch up to us. And, Detroit's a good team. Not taking anything away from Detroit and the other teams. But the difference is the Chiefs are built to win championships, and we have the quarterback. to do it. And Tom Brady, his games, I remember probably his first 2 years, and I'm going to end with this real quick, but his first 2 years, I think the Patriots were putting up style points. But then when they had to pay Tom Brady and those guys, the style points went away, and then they had to find, but Tom Brady had to find ways to win games. That is the difference now with the Chiefs. We put up style points with Patrick Mahomes his first 2 years, but now we have to win differently. And now it's Patrick Mahomes. That's the difference to the quarterback. Thank you for taking my call, but this was a great, great victory. Even with the problems that we have, we are built to win championships because of this quarterback. Thank you for taking my call. I'll listen off the air.
I appreciate the phone call, Kyle. Good stuff. I will say that one of the things I've always gone back to when it comes to the Chiefs and their dynastic run, if you play the same way for 4 to 5 years, then eventually somebody's going to catch on and figure out how to beat you. I think the Chiefs' ability to adapt, win different ways, win with their defense, win with their offense, methodical football, this and that, it's made them so difficult to beat. I mean, how many teams would you expect to win back-to-back Super Bowls, follow it up with a 12-1 year when you lost your starting wide receiver, your starting number 2 wide receiver, your running back for an extended period? You've had below-average play at left tackle. You lost your number 2 cornerback. You lost your kicker for a point in time. You lost your defensive end, one of your starting edge rushers. You have had injuries all over the place, but still they find ways to win, and that's what's most important. New England was great at doing that for a number of years. Style points are great. It's awesome to have a plus 200 point differential, but if you're winning football games, it doesn't really matter. And this Chiefs team does know how to win in January. That's why I'm not too concerned at this point in time with what they may be beating teams like. You know, you shouldn't apologize for winning football games. It doesn't matter by how much you beat them by if you are a team that always seems to come up big in January. Let's go back to the phone lines. Hear from Jerry. Jerry, what's on your mind?
Hey guys, I'm glad they won. I feel bad because when I hear Kyle talking and all that stuff, no offense to him, but all I hear is blah, 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 yada, 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 so on and so forth, etc. The thing that took the sting away from the win last week, believe it or not, was when I was sitting on the phones and I heard Isaiah Pacheco's news conference. I'm 58, and his youthful exuberance and how much fun he had, it sounds weird to say that took the sting away from the win last week. There was no sting on the win this week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really, really good. I have no complaints about Justin Reid. He is what he is. He does what he does. He's part of the team. We need him. I don't know what Kyle is seeing with that, but the other thing, the doink that won the division, I think right now is the doink of the decade for right now. I haven't seen any doink that did anything more than that, win or loss, win or lose. I mean, I don't know. I'm just really happy with this win, and I'm glad that you didn't feel bad the way they won. I wanted to say the thing that took the sting out of this win was when Patrick Mahomes pointed at Travis Kelce at the end of the game when, you know, Travis did what he needed to do, caught the ball, stayed right there, let somebody touch him. They knew what they were going to do, and it's going to be cool. The next thing I want is to see a walk-off safety. You think that'll ever happen? The Chiefs are the only ones that can get it done, I bet. I got nothing else to say, but I am enjoying the show, and thanks for not keeping me on hold for 50 minutes, even if I was. But I appreciate you guys a lot.
All good. I appreciate it, Jerry. And, yeah, some of you guys are very patient. You hang on the phone lines while we're waiting for some guys to get to the podium. We're waiting on Clark Hunt. We'll hear from Matthew Wright after the break coming up here shortly. We got one more caller to get to here. We are going to hear from Rodney. Rodney, you're on the Red and Gold Postgame Show, my man.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I really do enjoy the show.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to come with a little bit more realistic and more knowledge of the game. I said it for weeks. I've been saying it since week 2, and I'm going to continue saying it now. This offense is a completely 180-degree difference when we had Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator. First it was just locally, now it's becoming national news that everyone around the nation, around the football world, is starting to see the difference between when Eric Bieniemy was an offensive coordinator compared to Matt Nagy. When everyone was talking about, well, Eric Bieniemy wasn't calling plays, and Andy Reid had to defend him and saying, yes, he is. He's coming up with the game plan. He's doing this. He's calling the plays. We saw the video of Patrick Mahomes talking to Eric Bieniemy about calling the Wasp play in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. When Eric Bieniemy is the one controlling the offense, this was an unstoppable, godly offense. No one cannot stop this offense. Now, and ever since Matt Nagy been controlling this offense, even the first time and now this time, it has been a struggle. It has been a struggle. It's not. It's simple to me, and I know football. I basically said, if your tackles are having problems, why you continue dropping back? GT counter. You have a very large offensive line. Run the ball. Draw. They blitzing corners. They got Derwin James sitting at the line of scrimmage next to Joey Bosa. They mocking you. They are trolling you at this moment. They say, why would I need a safety back deep when I can play a cover 2 shell and just put Derwin James at the line of scrimmage and rush him? We saw Derwin James cover Travis Kelce once in this game. And that should be a smack in Matt Nagy's face. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Protect your tackles. Run the ball. It is 30 short. Why are you calling a play that takes too long to develop? Run the ball. What is open? Why are we going away from the run? No one could not stop the offense when Kareem Hunt was carrying the ball for 30-plus carries. And now you cut it in half, and it's like, oh, now we got close games now. I think people need to call a spade a spade. We don't have a tackle problem. We have a coaching problem. We have an offensive coaching problem, and this. It was heard when Mahomes was talking to Andy Reid before the third down play. I figured something out. I will go out there and make something happen. Where's my coach? Where's my coach at? So my thing is this: when somebody is going to question Nagy, when someone's going to question Andy Reid, did you let the wrong guy walk? Because all the complaining about, well, Eric Bieniemy wasn't doing this and Eric Bieniemy was doing that, what is Matt Nagy doing? I would like for someone to answer that question for me. What is Matt Nagy doing? And nobody, and this is my last point, nobody would not be satisfied until Patrick Mahomes get hurt. And he had a career high of being sacked. And he had a lesser offensive line when Eric Bieniemy was there. And he right now have a career high of being sacked, hit, and pressured. Let's make that make sense. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course, anytime, Rodney. And, I do think that there are going to be criticisms on nights like tonight where, back-to-back drives where you're abandoning the run. You're not designing certain plays for some guys on third down. I mean, that's going to fall on the shoulders of somebody like Matt Nagy. Andy Reid's going to take the brunt of that. He's going to try to take a lot of that criticism when it comes from outside the team in the same way he did it from time to time with Eric Bieniemy. But with Matt Nagy, I do want to say that, there is a little bit of the correlation to this offensive struggles and just not having the top guys out there. I mean, I do think that if Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown were out there, which we may never know what that duo would have looked like, because even if Hollywood Brown comes back in the regular season and for the postseason, Rashee Rice is not going to be there. And maybe next year Rashee Rice is back and Hollywood Brown's not there. But if you had that collection of guys, I would have loved to see what this offense could have become, because I do believe we would have seen a closer resemblance to what the 2022 squad looked like. The one that could put up 35-plus points in the Super Bowl against Philadelphia, that could score at will, that didn't really abandon the run. And right now, maybe it's not trying to give Isaiah Pacheco 20 carries a game or 27 carries a game like they did for Kareem Hunt. But tonight, I do think there were a couple of drives where, passing first down, passing second down, passing third down, you're not going anywhere. Maybe you do try to throw in a first down run there. And if it only gets 2 yards, then all right, maybe the running game's not going to be working tonight. But one of those drives toward the end of the game in the fourth quarter, Isaiah Pacheco got going, and it made me think, where was that a couple of times early on in the second half? And maybe it's trying to get Isaiah Pacheco's feet back under him. I feel like he's in good shape. They said he wasn't on any sort of snap count, pitch count tonight, but I did think there were some good, strong ones, good, strong runs. The old Isaiah Pacheco really started to flash tonight. I thought he was really showing the strength that was being able to run between the tackles and pick up some yards after contact. So I really didn't have too many complaints from what I saw. We'd love to see Matt Nagy, though, give him the ball more in some situations where you're trying to have a really long 7-8 minute drive. Okay, we're going to take our first break of the show. Thank you to all the callers that just called in. When we come back, we are going to be hearing from Matthew Wright, the hero in this game. Had a perfect 4-for-4 night. And the game winner, the doink for the division, as Mike Tirico called it. We'll hear from him next on the Red and Gold Postgame Show on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Samaje Perine was the sweet play of the game, which is brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Enjoy a treat and give to a great cause. The 87 Concrete, crafted by Travis Kelce himself, consists of vanilla frozen custard, Oreo cookie dough, and cream caramel. A portion of the proceeds go to support Travis Kelce's 87 and Running Foundation. Top your day with a smile at Andy's. And you are locked into the Red and Gold Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Boda Box Wine. Kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Boda Box, the ultimate tailgate wine. Boda Box, this is how we Boda. Please drink responsibly. Sponsored by Boda Box Vineyards, Manteca, California. Well, we did promise that we were going to get to Matthew Wright in the second segment. Weren't able to do that, but now we are going to hear from Matthew Wright, the hero of tonight's game. He was 4 for 4 in kicking field goals, was nails on extra points, and he's a third-string kicker this year. It was first Harrison Butker. Butker got hurt. This was the last game he had to miss after being placed on the IR. Spencer Schrader then took his spot. He had a game-winning field goal against Carolina, so it's only fitting that now the third kicker of the year has the third game-winning kick by Chiefs kicker this year. Butker had one. That was against Cincinnati. Of course, Schrader's came against Carolina. And Matthew Wright comes against the L.A. Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Here is Matthew Wright.
Just try to do the same routine I do every time. Say the same phrases in my head and just try to focus on being as routine-based as possible.
When you look up and you see it moving a little bit left, what's that thought there when you see this going? Which way it's going to go?
It's not good. Wanted it to go right down the middle, obviously, but just happy it went in.
What are some of the phrases you tell yourself before any kick, let alone a game winner?
I just kind of keep saying relax, 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 because it's not like me carrying more, getting amped up is going to help. Just trying to do what I do.
What would like to hear the crowd erupt after it's going and went in?
I don't remember that at all. I'm sure I'll look back and see it, but yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Matt, was the scene an issue at all that you saw it?
Not at that spot at all. It was something to keep in mind throughout the game, but not there at all.
When you're lining up for the game winner, as they're driving down, it might come down to you. Some kickers like to watch, like to know what's going on. Some like to just go for the net. What's your routine on the sideline as that drive's unfolding?
Yeah, just stay in the net as long as possible. Try to do a kick on third down and then get ready to run out on the field. So there it was kind of easier to know when the kick was coming, and then I knew we were going to call timeout, so I was just in the net till the timeout and then run out.
Matt, just considering your road, what's the most challenging part of going from team to team, and then when something like this happens, how rewarding is it to have that moment?
Yeah, it's a testament to James and Matt, because a new kicker is hard for both of them, and then the O-line does a great job. But yeah, just trying to stay focused and make sure that when I'm on my own, I treat reps as game reps, and then just be ready to do what I do.
Now, you have 15 different transactions, teams you were with. Does it sort of make your head spin sometimes of where you are, what the situation is?
Yeah.
Who the team is?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but my wife's super helpful and just giving me confidence going forward. Yeah, just try my best to keep making my kicks and just stick around.
Matthew, you kick a lot. Can you give us a sense of, even in practice, how often when you hit the upright does it go through? Is that a common occurrence or is it not a common occurrence?
I don't like to think about hitting the upright, so I couldn't tell you the answer to that.
Have you ever had a safety lobby your special teams coach to do kickoffs before?
No. I said to Matt Ariza, it felt weird, because if it's the punter, it feels a little more normal, but it felt weird. But he did a great job tonight, so it was awesome to see.
We asked Andy and Pat if they were thinking about keeping the offense charging so that you wouldn't have to rely on a field goal. What was your thought as you know you're coming down there and may depend on a field goal?
There's not much thoughts in my head at that moment. I re-say my phrases over and over again in my head, just try to stay in that and not worry about everything else.
When you're talking about your preparation, do you go over for the game as far as in a situation like that? Where do you want to be? Do you want to go to hash, kind of positioning and everything?
Honestly, we didn't talk about that. If it's that short, I should make it no matter where it is. So that's what I like to think.
Matthew, you haven't been here that long, including the last time around. But
you had the Chiefs record for a little while. You've got this kick now. I mean, have you thought about at all about your sort of unorthodox place in Chiefs history? Like what kind of a strange time it's been that you've been here?
I haven't really, but I'm sure I will in the coming days. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I'm happy to be here. I'm blessed that it went in, and yeah, just real excited for the team.
Confidence-wise, how does this help you going forward?
Oh, it's huge. Being able to make kicks in the NFL is awesome. So whenever I get to do that, I'm happy.
Have you ever been on a team with 3 kickers, let alone 3 guys who've made 3 game-winning kicks in the same season?
I was actually on the 49ers, and we had 3 kickers in 3 weeks, so it's funny that you asked that. But not 3 game winners.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
And that was Chiefs kicker Matthew Wright after going 4 for 4 tonight, including the game winner, the doink for the division, as Mike Tirico called it on Sunday Night Football. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from the head coach, Andy Reid, get his thoughts on the Chiefs winning their 9th consecutive AFC West title. They're 12-1 and firmly in the number 1 spot in the AFC. That's coming up on the Red and Gold Postgame Show on Sports Radio 810 WHB. LA Chargers was our Box Stack the Box defensive play of the game. Kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Box, the ultimate tailgate wine. Box is the premium boxed wine that wins with wine critics. Box, this is how we Boda. Please drink responsibly. Sponsored by Box Vineyards, Manteca, California. It's now time to hear from the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid get his thoughts after the Chiefs' 9th consecutive AFC West title. They are 12-1 and firmly hold that top spot in the AFC. He went over a variety of things in tonight's outcome. Another nail-biter at Arrowhead Stadium where the Chiefs have remained undefeated. He'll talk about the field goal, the Chargers' defense, Patrick Mahomes a little bit, winning the AFC West when it was a little bit tougher. Also, the remaining parts of their schedule, still 4 games to go, the left tackle position, and getting used to some of these close wins. But first things first, let's get the opening thoughts from the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid.
All right. What a great win to come out of this evening with. Appreciate our fans and the light show and everything else that they put on. It was phenomenal, and they all hung here to the end, which is great support for our guys. As far as the game goes, defensively, we really, I thought, played well the first half and held it really good. Offense, quarterback to minimal yards. Morton with the 2 sacks, I thought was big. Shamari, 8 tackles. And then the second half, they kind of got it going, but when it counted, we took care of business there. Offensively, Pat was 23 for 46. Pacheco 14 for 55. I mean, good numbers for him. It's great to get him back in there and going. He and Kareem are a nice tag team to have. And then P. Ryan also had a huge play for us there. And then Xavier was 5 for 41, which was good there. 8 guys caught passes today, so that was a plus for us. Third downs, again, were very good. So Nags and Spags both put together, I thought, solid game plans that really helped us through. And then, Kels with. I want to make sure I say this right, but fastest tight end to reach 12,000 yards. I mean, it's pretty impressive, and the game's been around a couple of years, so it's pretty impressive to do that. Justin Reed on special teams stepping up and kicking off for us. Not a lot of safeties in the league are doing that right now, and I thought he did a nice job. Ariza came up big on the punt game, and then Matt Wright. Listen, I mean, he never looks at himself as the third guy. I told him just keep it right, a little to the right, just a little bit more. But my hat goes off to him for the field goals that he made in tough situations, plus that one at the end was great. So, anyways, when that time.
Yeah, for Matthew Wright, just keep it right.
Right.
6, 7, 8 times that might have been said in the final 30 seconds of the opening statement for Andy Reid. But let's hear a little bit more about that field goal, the final possession. Just deciding to line things up and kick the field goal instead of going for the touchdown. Obviously, it was the right move, and I think everybody would have made the same choice. But here was Andy Reid on going for that field goal.
Yeah, so I mean, I've trust in Matthew, so I was good with where we were. Percentages are pretty high. I know we've won a game in that same situation on the opposite end, so I get it. But he's a solid kicker, so I wasn't too worried about it. Once we got down in there, now to get down in there was a nice job by our guys. To that play that Pat and Kelsey made right there at the end was something. So that's not quite the way it was drawn up.
Yeah, certainly that big third down conversion, that was not the design play. But we'll hear a little bit later on from Patrick Mahomes. I think it was Vahe Gregorian that brought up that Patrick got a little bit choked up, or at least caught himself before getting choked up, and talking about Travis Kelce. But the connection those two have, kind of just playing backyard football. I mean, being able to come back to the ball, Travis Kelce making himself open, that's really what made Patrick Mahomes so successful early on in his career was having that type of chemistry. But I'm sure we'll get more of Patrick Mahomes' thoughts a little bit later on in the show. Up next, we're going to hear from Andy Reid and his thoughts on the Chargers defense, the number one scoring defense in the NFL. They were good tonight, but not good enough for the victory.
Yeah, it was a naked, so with the back on a slide, and they zoned it off. And, Pat had it in his hands, which is important, and on the move, which is important. He does some good things with that. And then we had some people coming to him. But listen, I thought the Chargers did a nice job with that. But they zoned us off. That's more of a man thought. They had been playing man up to that point. They've been zero blitzing us. So if they would have done that, it would have been a great call.
Yeah, Andy brought up just having the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands. How many times have you heard us say that before, that you're just living or willing to live and die with Patrick Mahomes trying to make the play? If you lose the game and it's on Patrick Mahomes throwing an interception or throwing an incompletion, you can live with that because that's the best player in the sport. That's a three-time Super Bowl champion, multiple-time MVP. If you're going to lose or you're going to win, you want it to be with Patrick Mahomes having the ball in his hands. Andy Reid further elaborated on that, on just giving Patrick Mahomes a chance to win the game.
Yeah, and I've trusted Pat making those kind of plays. He kind of said that before the play. He goes, I'll make something happen. So he has the option to run, he has the option to throw to the back, and then everybody's coming to him on that. So I thought he did a good job there.
Now, a little extra juice for tonight's game, with it being prime time, Sunday Night Football, but also a Chargers team that had really improved in just the first year under Jim Harbaugh. It's been a difficult year for the AFC West. I mean, if you are a Broncos or Chargers fan, you feel better about your team this year, but also Kansas City is 12-1, is now locked up a 9th consecutive AFC West title. Andy Reid had the chance to talk a little bit on that and how challenging it's been to face some of these teams in the AFC West.
Yeah, listen, I am proud of the guys. I mean, the coaches, Clark gives us an opportunity to do this with Mark Donovan and Brett Veach. So we're all in this together trying to make this happen. It's not easy. I mean, that's not an easy thing. And every year is a little bit different on how we've gotten there. I'm proud of our guys for just hanging in there. We have so many tight games, more so than some of these other years. And so the guys keep hanging in there and feeling like good things are going to happen, and keep battling.
Now, 12-1 feels nice. The 1 seed feels very attainable at this point, but there's still games to go. They got the Cleveland Browns next. They actually only have 1 home game in their final 4 games, 3 of them on the road. All of them will be noon kickoffs. They got the Browns, they got the Texans, a big showdown on Christmas Day, a short week for them in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, and they'll wrap up the regular season at Mile High against the Denver Broncos. So big one tonight, but Andy Reid also brought up there's still a lot of season left.
Yeah, listen, Adam, I mean, it's early in the year here, so we've still got games left. So when I say this, we're not just putting the tent up right here and calling it a day. So we've got to keep playing and playing aggressively. And like I said, we're playing some real good football teams that are trying to get themselves into the playoffs. So they're going to be hungry and attacking. And so we've got to make sure we keep doing it. But to answer your question, it's a great achievement. It's a great achievement. But there's more left.
Still some games to go, but the Chiefs are going to have to continue to evaluate that left tackle position. There were bright moments for DJ Humphries tonight, his first game in a long time, but unfortunately on that final drive got banged up a little bit. I believe it was a hamstring injury, so Wanya Morris had to re-enter, or actually just enter for the first time, but re-enter that starting position because he was not the one to take the first snaps tonight. DJ Humphries was going to be the guy moving forward, but now due to that injury, it might be Wanya Morris moving forward once again, just a continuous revolving door at the left tackle position. Here was Andy Reid on that left tackle spot.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of him for, number one, not hanging his head, practicing hard, and then coming out when, you're one injury away from having to step in and go. And then he did a nice job, and he had stayed up on all of his stuff, the mental part of it. He had stayed up on it and was sharp once he got in there.
What did you think about DJ playing in the amount of time that he was out there?
Yeah, so I think initially it was fast for him. And then he settled down, and I thought the second half he was playing well. So he just, which I figured would happen. He hasn't done anything, so with that kind of speed out there, and then the physical part of it, these guys, they try to drive you right back into the quarterback with their bull rushes, and they're very, excuse me, they're very good at it. So he did a nice job. Not too many more questions.
And lastly, it was just another thriller. A nail-biting game at Arrowhead Stadium came down to the final seconds in this one, the final play, as Matthew Wright had to kick the game winner. A doink for the division, hit the left upright, and just snuck in to complete the Chiefs' 19-17 win. Here is Andy Reid on if he's used to these close wins.
Not as I'm living.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
All right, good.
Yeah, short and sweet there from Andy Reid. Those were his thoughts after the Chiefs' 19-17 win over the LA Chargers on Sunday Night Football. They have clinched the AFC West for the 9th consecutive season. You are tuned in to the Red and Gold Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Boda Box Wine. Kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Boda Box, the ultimate tailgate wine. Boda Box, this is how we Boda. Please drink responsibly. Sponsored by Boda Box Vineyards, Manteca, California. When we come back, we are going to chat with Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. Then after that, we're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes, get his thoughts on this game. Also hear from a couple other Chiefs players in DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, and Turk Warden. Actually told in my ear that we are going to get to Patrick Mahomes next, so we will get his quick reactions from this win against the LA Chargers. You are listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mahomes and DeAndre Hopkins was the Andy Reid call of the game, which is brought to you by Shamrock Roofing and Construction. You can make the right call as well by visiting shamrockroofer.com. Shamrock Roofing and Construction. One call does it all. We are shortly going to be hearing from Patrick Mahomes, get his thoughts on the Chiefs' 19-17 win over the L.A. Chargers, and you were listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thought for the most part it was an efficient game for Patrick Mahomes. He didn't have the cleanest of pockets in this one, but that just really hasn't been his world in 2024. He's dealt with below-average play at the left tackle position, below-average play at the right tackle position for a handful of weeks, but yet tonight he was 24-37, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, 88.8 quarterback rating in this one. Only 5.7 yards per attempt, so taking a lot of the underneath routes in this one. Travis Kelce was 5 for 45 in this game. Xavier Worthy, 5 for 41. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 for 32. Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 for 31. Noah Gray, 4 for 26. Samaj P. Ryan, 1 for 16. Kareem Hunt, 1 for 13. And Isaiah Pacheco had 2 catches for 6 yards in this one. So Patrick Mahomes did a good job tonight of taking care of the football against the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. And if you go back to the game against Buffalo, he had 2 picks in that one. But since then, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions for Patrick Mahomes. If you want to go a little bit further than that, go back to October 27th when he had DeAndre Hopkins in the wide receiver unit for the first time all year. He's only thrown 3 picks since that game, 2 of them, of course, coming in that game against Buffalo, but he's also had 5, 6, 9, 12, 14 touchdowns in that stretch. So really starting to come on a little bit stronger here despite dealing with all the injuries to the receiving core. Hopefully Kansas City can get Hollywood Brown back. Aren't going to be getting Rashee Rice back this season, but still, with more experience for Xavier Worthy, you're going to have DeAndre Hopkins, hopefully a healthy Juju Smith-Schuster and Noah Gray, Travis Kelce, add him to the list there. Lots of different options that Patrick Mahomes is hoping to have at his disposal before January rolls around, and the Chiefs will be partaking in, hopefully, multiple home playoff games. We know with winning the AFC West tonight, they are guaranteed to have at least one home playoff game, but right now the goal is to be getting that number 1 seed over either Buffalo or Pittsburgh, because right now the playoff picture goes like this. Kansas City, the top spot with a 2-game lead over Pittsburgh, and then a 1.5-game lead over Buffalo because of that tiebreaker. I believe that's how it'd be broken down there. But Kansas City at 12-1. Buffalo is the leader of the AFC East. They are 10-3. Pittsburgh, the leader in the AFC North. They are also 10-3. Houston leading the AFC South at 8-5. And the wild card teams, this is a scary group of wild card opponents. The Baltimore Ravens are 8-5. They hold the top wild card spot. The LA Chargers are the second wild card team despite their loss tonight. They are 8-5 as well. And Denver, red hot Denver, 8-5. They hold the final wild card spot. So if the season ended today, Buffalo would be hosting Denver, Pittsburgh would be hosting the Chargers, and the Texans would be hosting the Baltimore Ravens. All right, let's hear from Patrick Mahomes, get his thoughts after Kansas City's 19-17 win over the LA Chargers on Sunday Night Football, clinching their 9th consecutive AFC West title. First things first, here is Patrick Mahomes on that first down connection to Travis Kelce.
Yeah, we expected some man, but we had plans for if it was zone. They did a good job of covering it, and then Trav just played ball and got himself open. And I wanted to get on the edge where I could either fall down and let the clock keep running or try to make a play with the easy type throw. And we were able to find a way to get that throw to Trav there and get the first down.
You said he's playing ball. Is that where you expected him to be, or is he kind of just setting up?
He's supposed to run a corner route, so it is what it is.
Are you just, it looked like you were about to tuck it and run and kind of cut inside. At what point do you realize there's nobody around Trav and you got that throw?
Yeah, no, I went through my reads, how Trav released it looked like a corner, and then the halfback and a couple other guys. And then as I went to ready to run. I just saw 8-7 just sitting right there in the middle of the field open, so I just fired it to him.
And on that final drive, you know that he's always going to get the support from his teammates, but more importantly, the coaches having faith in Patrick Mahomes. Here was number 15 talking about the coaches' trust on that final drive.
Yeah, we went through different scenarios, but the coaches have trusted me that I'm going to make a play happen and try to, if not there, that I can fall down and we can kick the field goal for a little bit further. But, yeah, I mean, we knew that they were going to sell out to block the run, and they did a good job on the outsides and the perimeter of kind of passing stuff off in zone. And so just had to make a play, and if it's not there, you fall down and then you kick the field goal from a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I thought for the most part a very well-orchestrated drive. It was almost completely halted before the drive could really get going. I mean, it was 3rd and 10, 2 plays into that drive, and then you'll probably hear this audio a little bit later on to close out our show, but escaped the danger, escaped the pocket, and had this jump throw to Xavier Worthy, who did an excellent job of coming back to the ball there, not trying to do too much, catch the ball, and go down. That's eventually what went on to set up a extended drive that led to Matthew Wright's game-winning field goal. So if you don't have that play, who knows what's being drawn up on 4th and 10, but Patrick Mahomes always going to have the trust coming from his coaching staff. Here was Patrick Mahomes a little bit more on that final drive of the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, even though I feel like we could have played better, I mean, that's a good football team, a good defense, and we were able to have a good last drive there to get us in field goal range. As long as we have a chance to go out there and have the football and make a play happen, I feel like we're going to make it happen. And giving Matthew the chance to kick the field goal, and he knocked it through.
After you got the first down inside 2 minutes, were you lobbying to keep the offense going, charging for a touchdown, or were you content to take a knee?
I was content to take a knee. We could have maybe got it a little bit closer, but I mean, when you're in that range, you're expecting to make the field goal, and we trust in our kickers, we trust in our special teams, and that's a huge part of what we do every single day, and we were able to make it and get the win.
Now, if you are a little bit concerned that this offense just isn't really clicking, the offensive line is struggling, maybe some of the receivers can't get open, not to worry, because Patrick Mahomes believes this offense is close to a breakthrough.
Yeah, I think just got to be able to hit some of these explosive plays. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Once you do that, it opens up everything else. And it seems like we stall out on drives, on little things. And I've said that kind of all year long, but it is close. I truly believe we are closer than we were this year at this point. And it's just about finding a way to prove it on the football field on Sundays. We'll play every day of the week, it seems like, the next few days, but on game days. And then we can kind of go into the playoffs with some momentum.
There were some missed shots in the game, but for a lot of those dropbacks, it did feel like that Patrick Mahomes was having to escape the pocket, or he was just taking some serious hits, taking some damage there in the pocket because the offensive line wasn't just giving him really any time to throw in this game. Here is Patrick Mahomes on taking some of those big hits in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of football. You just play the game. We play a lot of good defenses this year. That's the one bad thing about when you win the Super Bowl, you play the best schedule, and we played a lot of good defensive ends and defensive linemen. And I think for myself, it's just finding the soft spot in the pocket. I feel like on some of the early third downs, I was kind of running into where they were looping to, and they had a plan for me in escaping the pocket. And so just trying to find that soft spot. I thought I did better at that as the game went on. And then whenever I was able to make the run at the end. So working a new guy in, trusting in those other guys, I think we're going to be hitting the ground running as the playoffs come ahead.
Yeah, it's easy to look ahead to the postseason when you've already won back-to-back Super Bowls, but Patrick Mahomes says this team is always focused first on winning this division so they can take care of business when it comes to the postseason. Here is Patrick Mahomes on yet another AFC West title.
Yeah, I mean, it's our first goal every single year to win the AFC West, and it's a great division where a lot of rivalries, where everybody's playing each other tough. And, I mean, 3 teams are going to probably make the playoffs. I mean, that speaks to the division that we play in. And so to be able to win this division, to gain another game in the playoff picture, it was an important game for us against a really good football team. We found a way to get a win, but now we got to keep building if we want to get to our ultimate goal.
And if they are to get to that ultimate goal, which would be a three-peat, the first team ever to have a three-peat, it's going to have to be that left tackle play really keeping things under control. And DJ Humphries, he did get the start tonight. He left with an injury later on, but here was Patrick Mahomes on how he thought the Chiefs' debut went for DJ Humphries.
I thought he did a good job. I mean, there's little things here and there. I mean, he's still learning the playbook. So, he knows how to pass protect. That's the easy part. He knows how to run block. But the pass-off games with new guys, to know where he can kind of cheat and kind of get subtle cues on my cadences and stuff like that. And he truly is just out there playing football and just one-on-one reps. And he did a good job today. I mean, obviously, I'll go back and look at the film, and hopefully we get him back out there soon. But, I mean, to play all those snaps right off the ACL injury, I was proud of how he fought.
And lastly, here was Patrick Mahomes on Travis Kelce. Again, Andy Reid had brought it up. The fastest tight end to, 12,000 yards in this one. Believe that was the milestone. Feels like every single week Travis Kelce is having some milestone, as we know that he is reaching the back half of his career. We did bring it up a little bit earlier. I think it was Vahe Gregorian of the Kansas City Star that was a little bit interesting to me that Patrick Mahomes was either choked up or caught himself right before he got choked up and talking about Travis Kelce. Believe it'll be in this next clip once we get the thumbs up here. But, it's a connection that's been going on for a long time, Patrick Mahomes' entire career. But here was number 15 on what Travis Kelce has meant to him, not just tonight, but in his career.
Oh, man, he means the world to me, man. I mean, without getting, emotional, I mean, he's a guy that has really kind of made me who I am in my career, and a true leader on the football field. Someone, everybody says security blanket, but someone that I can just go to at any moment, and he's going to make a big play happen. And as he's gone throughout his career, he's never dropped off as far as his work ethic and the way he leads, and I think that's super important when you have a guy that's going to have a gold jacket and he's the hardest working dude on the team.
What do you think has made you who you are? In terms of a player?
I think just both. I think just in terms as a player, obviously. I mean, he's someone that he plays on the same wavelength that I do, and it's hard to do that. And I think it takes guys time. But it seems like from the first day, I've kind of been on that same page with Trav, and then seeing him work every day. I mean, everybody sees the personality and on the TV and stuff like that, but you don't see that everyday work ethic that he has. I mean, he's the guy that gets mad when they take him out of practice reps. I mean, that's just the type of work ethic he has. And even for me to come into the league and have a superstar player and see him work like that, it kind of showed me that I'm about to put that work ethic in if I want to get to that level.
And that was Patrick Mahomes after the Chiefs' 9th consecutive AFC West title. They beat the Chargers tonight, 19-17. They're 12-1. Up next, the Cleveland Browns on the road. 4 games left in the regular season. 3 of them will be on the road. And you are tuned in to the Red and Gold Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Boda Box Wine. We'll have you covered next week, right after the Chiefs and Browns. But you can kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Boda Box, the ultimate tailgate wine. Boda Box is the premium boxed wine that wins with wine critics. Boda Box, this is how we Boda. Please drink responsibly. Sponsored by Boda Box Vineyards, Manteca, California. When we return, we're going to hear from Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He's on deck on Sports Radio 810 WHB. your trusted, locally owned IT partner since 1985, providing IT expertise, services, and solutions to help your business grow. You can also make the right choice today by going to choicesolutions.com. We're now going to hop back on the phone lines and hear from Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He's brought to you by Cap One Lending. The Freedom Loan at Cap One Lending is the exclusive loan that helps you pay your home off in less than half the time and gives you access to your home's equity without having to refinance. Go to CapOneLending.com. Well, Matt, just another game at Arrowhead Stadium that comes down to the wire. This time, it's a game-winning doink for the division off the foot of Matthew Wright. So your initial takeaways, your reactions for yet another thrilling win for the Chiefs at home.
I mean, it's just what this team does, right? I mean, did you expect anything less?
We did not.
I mean, I didn't think it would be that close. I didn't think he was going to doink it off the upright, but it's what this team does. It's just week in and week out. Even Matt Wright gets the memo. It's got to be dramatic, but you got to get the job done. And I even asked, DeAndre Hopkins the same thing about, what has he learned about this team? And he's just like, doesn't give up, and the team's tough. I mean, he's like, they prepare. This isn't an accident. I mean, this team works hard. It works to prepare for situations like this, and obviously they've got ice water in their veins because week in and week out they end up in these spots, and they continue to just come up with the big plays when they need them.
Yeah, I think the easy thing for a lot of NFL fan bases out there tonight would have been to say, well, that's the devil magic, right? It's doinking off the left upright and it goes in. But I think that takes away from what was really an incredible game-winning drive by the Chiefs where they had to pick up two huge third downs. There was the 3rd and 10 where Mahomes had the connection to Xavier Worthy. And then, of course, that big 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 pickup to Travis Kelce that set up the game-winning field goal by Matthew Wright. So it felt like, Matt, where so many games this year when it came down to the wire, it was, their opponent making the mistake, right? The Raiders and the bad snap. You had the Broncos and the block kick. But tonight, the Chiefs just said, we're going to be the team that finishes this one. We're not giving the ball back. What did you think about that final drive and how it was executed? And was that maybe one of the better drives we've seen all season in crunch time from them?
Well, I mean, obviously they made the big plays when they need to. The 3rd and 7, you get the conversion to Travis Kelce. And then once they once they got in the field goal range, there wasn't any consideration about getting greedy. It was a little bit different situation than the Raiders faced last week, but at the same time, kind of similar. I mean, the Raiders were in field goal range. All they really needed to do was just maybe run the ball a few times, be fairly considerate. They could have even just, at that point where they were, maybe even just taken me a couple of times and then kick a field goal. I don't know that they really needed to line up and shotgun and be confused. Chiefs didn't take any chances there. I mean, they were like, okay, we're in field goal range. We've got a kicker we believe in that can make this kick. Well, let's just run out the clock, take a couple of knees, go out there and kick the field goal. I mean, and that's the difference. I mean, this team, they're not afraid to do that. I mean, some teams might, I guess, maybe they're going to be afraid to put it on the foot of their kicker. But, what happens if you're the Chiefs and you do get greedy? You just decided, okay, we're going to get a touchdown to win this game. Well, the way this one played out, I mean, I thought at first that, their problem might be is if they score too quickly in that situation, you're going to give the ball back to Justin Herbert, who's having a heck of a night. I mean, even though his numbers were not fantastic, he had some absolutely amazing throws. And considering who he was throwing to and what help he had, I thought it was pretty remarkable. But, you put yourselves into those situations, and the Chiefs, they're not dumb. They don't take any dumb chances.
We're talking with Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com after the Chiefs' 19-17 win over the L.A. Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Matt, what was your, final grade that you would give the defense tonight? Because they have a first-half shutout. They got to Justin Herbert a couple of times, but then in the blink of an eye, kind of similar to the way it happened against the Raiders on Black Friday, just a couple of big mistakes, some busted coverage in the secondary, and the Chargers found themselves ahead in the third quarter with about 4 minutes to go. So did you feel better about the defense tonight, about the same, or worse?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I guess I'm going to have to say about the same. I mean, this was an improved performance over last week. I mean, when Aiden O'Connell just absolutely chewed him up, and that was scary. The fact that tonight, Justin Herbert makes a couple of plays against you. I mean, his numbers were pretty pedestrian for the most part, and that was just even because he had a really hot start to the second half. I mean, those weren't fantastic numbers from Herbert, but like I said, considering he doesn't have his best receiver, doesn't have his best running back, that's pretty. I mean, the Chiefs are going to have been in a somewhat similar situation too, but I think it's even more pronounced over for the Chargers right now. But they put up a pretty good fight. So yeah, to me, for the defense, the first half was good. It wasn't great because I felt like that, they dodged a couple of bullets. They gave up some big plays, but they at least they kept the Chargers out of scoring zone. Well, although I thought the Chargers made a really questionable decision on that decision to punt from the 39-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it was a long conversion. I think it was 4th and 7, but punting just seemed like giving up there. I mean, and I know I probably have been okay with Andy Reid doing it from time to time, but that one was just, I don't know about that. But in the second half, yeah, you saw some of the same problems popping up. The defensive line wasn't getting enough pressure. There's a couple of spots in the secondary that are problematic. They had some penalties that were problematic. It was better than last week, but it still leaves you with some concerns because this defense needs to play better, come January.
Yeah, it feels like a night and day difference in watching Jim Harbaugh coach and what he's willing to do on 4th down and what Brandon Staley was able to do, because I think Brandon Staley would have gone for it every single time the Chargers, faced a 4th down situation against the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Looking a little bit ahead to the final 4 games here, today was huge for Kansas City in the number 1 seed. Buffalo falls to the Rams. I know the Steelers beat the Browns, but now you look at next week, and it's the Steelers that have to go to Philadelphia and play the Eagles, and the Bills have to go on the road and face the best team in the NFC, maybe in all of football, and the Detroit Lions, while the Chiefs get the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. So for today, do you kind of feel like this is where we're going to look back to if the Chiefs get the 1 seed of this is kind of where it happened? Buffalo lost, the Chiefs won, and they built a 2-game cushion on both Buffalo and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, this was a huge day, especially there for a moment when it looked like that maybe the Chiefs were going to let that, Buffalo loss kind of slip through their fingers a little bit as being an advantage. But now, essentially their magic number is 3. I mean, any combination of 3 Chiefs wins and Bills losses eliminates the Bills from the 1 seed. Same thing with 3 Chiefs wins or Steelers losses combined eliminates them from the 1 seed chase. I mean, conceivably, especially with the Steelers and the Bills schedules next week, I mean, the Chiefs could be in a scenario where they could even be a possibility to clinch against the Texans and certainly maybe clinch against the Steelers. If they just went out, they could clinch on Christmas Day with 3 straight wins. So that's a tremendous advantage for the Chiefs as far as, trying to really get themselves set for the postseason. I mean, there's maybe some concerns about having that extra mini bye week, then going into Week 18 against Denver. And if you want to rest your starters in Week 18, you'd go maybe 22, 23 days between games before the divisional round. So it's its own problems, but that's a good problem to have here as the Chiefs because you really could use that 1 seed to get healthy.
Did you feel like the left tackle play got better tonight with DJ Humphries? Was it about the same? And I guess more importantly, was it about what you expected coming from number 70?
Yeah, to me it was different. I mean, I felt like that there was, as far as, Humphries, I really thought that just, whenever he was getting straight rushed, it was just right at him. I thought that, bull rushes, I thought he handled pretty well. I actually thought that he handled some of the stunts, pretty well, even though there was maybe some communication problems early. I thought later on there were some really smooth handoffs as far as between him and Joe Thuney when they had some stunts being done against them. They were switching off. I thought they was pretty effective. There was some pressure up the middle, and then against that interior, which you usually don't see. But Mahomes, I think there were 13, 14 hits on him. DJ Humphries gave up, I think, 8 pressures in 40 dropbacks. That's a lot. But at the same time, they were different pressures. It wasn't there weren't as many of those 2.5 second sacks that we've been talking about. that at the same time, in that the pocket was not great tonight. I mean, Mahomes did not have a ton of time. He got hit way too many times, and those weren't all DJ Humphrey's fault. I mean, a lot of them were on some other guys. So this was not a good night for the pass protection. Do you want more out of your left tackle? Yeah, but I think you saw a little bit about just what happens when you try to rush a guy, because I still don't. Andy Reid mentioned it on Monday, and that's why I was really surprised that they went this direction, because, Andy Reid even voiced the fact that, it might not be fair to DJ Humphries to be playing him when he hasn't even been in town quite 2 weeks, and he's only had one padded practice with his team. I mean, considering all of that, I think he did an admirable job, but, obviously you would love to see some improvement there still.
And last question for me here, Matt. Really appreciate your time after Sunday Night Football. But, I think the national perception of this team, despite their 12-1 record, is that they're just overrated, right? They're a fraudulent 12-1. But the way I see it, when you're coming off back-to-back Super Bowls, especially with the way the team looked last year, does it really matter that they're not blowing anybody out? I mean, their largest margin of victory this year was 13 points against the Saints, but it's also 12-1, and they are firmly in a good spot for the number one seed, where everybody would have to be going to them and their quest for a three-peat in January. So where things stand right now, maybe it could be an issue 5 or 6 games into the season. But there's 4 games left in the regular season, and they just keep finding ways to win over and over and over again. So I guess my question simply to you is, does it really matter that they're not beating anybody by a lot?
I mean, my answer is kind of a yes and a no. I don't think it matters a lot because, these wins aren't accidental. I mean, the Chiefs have won 15 straight one-score games. The record before that was the Patriots in 03-04. They won 13. It wasn't the, 09 to 011 Detroit Lions, that got lucky and won 13 straight. You got to be a good team to win these games. So it's not, if it was pure luck, I mean, there would be some terrible, terrible teams that won 13, 15 one-score games in a row. That's not the case. The ones that have done it are good coach teams with Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And so to me, hey, that's what you have. And those are what wins Super Bowls, are Hall of Fame quarterbacks and Hall of Fame coaches. And we saw last year, I mean, honestly, the biggest difference between this team, I think, and last year's team is their record. I mean, everything else is very, very similar. I mean, they're offensively, they're very similar. Defensively, they're very similar. It's just that their win-loss record is different. And, this team, we thought they were all going to try, they were going to turn it on once the calendar turned to December. Nope, they didn't turn it on until January. I still think this team has its best football ahead of it. I don't think it's been playing A football. I think it's going to be playing A football come January. I'll be really surprised if they don't. So, I mean, I still think that their best football is ahead of them, and I'll be really, really surprised if it's not, because they're going to get healthier, and these guys just seem to have a gear that they kick into. The only reason I'm hesitant, and the only thing I say, hey, that there is a downside to it, is that, winning these games requires a lot of effort. And, it means that guys have been playing a lot of snaps. I've got the video of Travis Kelce at his locker, after the game tonight, and that man was worn out, and he's not alone. I mean, these wins take a toll, a physical toll and a mental toll. And it does beg the question, are they putting too much into winning these games that it's going to cost them at some point? I mean, if you get the 1 seed, I think you can probably erase a lot of those concerns, because they can be a well-rested team going into January.
All right, Matt. We'll appreciate your time as always. Thanks for hopping on late. And the good news is the final 4 games of the regular season are all early games, so we won't be asking for you to hop on the phone lines into the early hours of the morning.
I love it, and I'm happy for all my Mizzou fans out there, because Mizzou fans had a great day on Sunday.
It sure was for them. All right, Matt, we'll talk to you on Sunday.
Take care, Jack.
There he goes. That's our guy, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. And you are listening to the Red and Gold Postgame Show, which is brought to you by Boda Box Wine. Kick your tailgate party up a notch this football season with Boda Box, the ultimate tailgate wine. Boda Box, this is how we Boda. It is the premium box wine that wins with wine critics again, and it is sponsored by Boda Box Vineyards in Manteca, California. We're going to take one of our final breaks of the show. When we come back, we are going to have our locker room report. We're going to hear from DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, and Turk Wharton. That's coming up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. So Juju Smith-Schuster got the green light in that one. It's now time for the locker room report. We got 3 players to get to. Our very own Steven St. John, who you can hear from in about 5.5 hours on a new day with SSJ right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. He was in the locker room after the game, got a chance to chat with DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, and Turk Wharton. So as soon as we get the thumbs up here, we'll be able to hear from Travis Kelce. Here is number 87 after the win tonight.
The biggest thing was being able to calm the storm that's around us and focus in on us and keep getting better. And this is just another version of that. You know what I mean? Like, this is just another version of trying to find ways to win and at the same time keep finding ways to get better so that at the end of the season, we're playing our best ball. And I'm still proud of a lot of these guys, Mario, for stepping up. A lot of these guys were making big plays when we needed them, you know, and have our third kicker make another game winner for us, man.
You get hit all the time, obviously, Travis, but I think on the box score, Patrick got hit 14 times today. What is it about his resilience that makes him capable of obviously finding you when the game's
on football, man. You already know. We all signed the contract to get hit.
Trav, can I get you to stand up and say at the cameras here, please?
Thank you, sir.
Does it feel comfortable, I guess, in some ways, that 4 minutes left, down by 2, you guys know exactly what to do?
I think it's more so, we're always trying to better ourselves, and some situations we haven't been perfect in, but we never stop believing. So it's just an extra, just ability to dig a little deeper, have that much confidence, and play fast, and know that the team needs you the most, and you got to be accountable for it.
Some teams would have ran the ball after the 2-minute warning. You guys chose to throw it. Just walk us through what that conversation was like, because if you run the ball, obviously you can run more time off the clock, but getting the first down there, pretty much.
Whatever play comes in, we got to make it rock. Whether we're running it or we're passing it, obviously it's up to Coach Reid. That's why he's one of the greatest to ever do it, and we love him for it.
Another division championship. I know that's a lot of them, but they all got to be special in their own way, right?
Every single one of them, man. Every single one of them, especially with the new guys and all the young guys that we got here. And on top of that, man, it's just another step, another check mark off of the list the set of goals that we set before the season. And it always feels good, but at the same time, it's we know that this is just another step in the road, or another step up the stairs.
Can you describe your route on that 3rd and 7 play coming out of the 2-minute warning? What were you doing there? And did you just find a spot in the zone and look for
in the red zone?
Yeah. No, in the last play right out of the 2-minute warning that got the first down.
That was a play where you give Pat the ability to get out of the pocket and make a play with his arm or his legs, and with that being said, we got to find a way to get the first down. So I just improvised a little bit off of the initial route and found a void, and Pat was right on cue with getting it to me at the last second.
Are you just trying to show him your numbers at that point? Make sure you pass.
Just trying to get open for him. Yeah, I'm just trying to get open for him, make his job a little easier.
Another clutch play with you and Patrick. What did you say to each other after you caught that ball and you went over and talked to each other?
Way to see it. Way to make a play, man. It's just, it fires you up when you can seal the game like that at the end. It's always a little scary knowing that you're down a point, having to kick a field goal. I'm way more comfortable than trying to score a touchdown there, but that's just me.
What was your vantage point? Did you see the ball hit the upright? Did you have a good view of that?
Oh, yeah, I saw it hit the upright.
What were you thinking?
Bank's open on Sundays, man. Have a good one, guys.
Oh, man,
thank you.
All right, that was Travis Kelce, his thoughts after the game, and right there his thoughts on the final kick off the foot of Matthew Wright. Stephen St. John asking that question. Bank is open on Sunday, as I'm sure a lot of people were thinking in the final moments of that game between Kansas City and L.A. Let's jump to the other side of the football. Hear from Turk Wharton, who had 2 sacks in the game. He also had our Stack the Box defensive play of the game. So here was Turk Wharton after the game in the locker room.
Big night. You had a couple of sacks out there. Can you just tell us how you felt out there and maybe take us through those sacks that you had against Herbert?
Felt pretty good. I think my sacks came off of feeling my teammates. On that last one, me and Felix talked about it, and he did what I told him to do, and I kind of fell into that one. And then the first one, was just going off the field. I think my coverage helped me with that one.
What's a minute you mean coming back to the line?
It's a blessing having him back. He grinded hard, and he's back out there, and he's looking better than ever. So it's always good to have another guy out there who's dominant.
First career multi-sack game. What is that? Something? Has it been a goal of yours? What's the emotion like knowing?
I think it's always a goal to have multiple, and I feel good, but we can still got more games.
So Justin was talking about how when you squat in the weight room, everybody stops to watch. Can you tell me about your workouts?
Oh, I think they think it's heavy, but it's not really heavy to me. So putting 500 or 530 on during the season ain't too much.
What's heavy to you?
All season, we get active, probably like in the 6s.
Good.
4.5 sacks is career high. You already had a career high coming in. You're only a half sack behind George and Chris for the team lead now. Are you going to set that, try to get that incentive in your contract?
We're going to talk about contracts later. Me and my guys, we are trying to rush off each other and come together as one.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir.
All right, that was Turk Wharton, 600 pounds, I guess, is getting just a little bit too heavy when squatting. So Turk Warden, I guess, known around the weight room and on this team as the guy who can squat the most. Doesn't really surprise me when you see how he is built. All right, the last one we're going to hear from for our locker room report is DeAndre Hopkins. Had the touchdown tonight, yet another one for him in a Chiefs uniform. He was DeAndre Hopkins after the game tonight.
Can you take us through the touchdown?
Practice make perfect. That's a play we felt like we would have during the week. We practiced. Pat put the ball where it needed to be. I kind of knew that, two people would in and out me. So I was going to protect myself and get in zone.
Considering where you started this season, how much do you appreciate, winning the division tonight, knowing you're a division champ with much ahead to accomplish?
Yeah, I don't really look in the past. I look forward to the future. So I'm happy to be, a division champion.
How much better can this team be? How much better can you guys be?
A win is a win, man. You gotta take it. You can't downplay a win, no matter if it's by 1 point or 20 points. Everybody play us with their best. Give it their all. So, when you recent champion, that's kind of teams you're gonna get. You're gonna get that kind of football. You're gonna get everybody's best. And so, just being able to win like we have, I think that speaks a lot to who we are as a team. By 1 point or 4 points, we'll take it.
Are you scripting these games how they end?
Pardon me?
Are you scripting these games how they end?
Man, I want to be a writer one day, but I don't think anybody can script this how these games end.
Seems like you and Mahomes were close to on hooking up for more big plays, but maybe just one or two things are off. How close are you? Do you guys think of hitting on all cylinders on the offense, and just maybe between you and him?
Right, it'll come. We got a couple more games left in the regular season, so hopefully we can go out, practice it, and execute that practice, and that's where it starts.
You've seen what happened on last-second field goals with the Broncos and then with the Raiders. Did you have a good vantage point of that last field goal hitting the upright? What was going through your mind?
It was just make it, go in. Obviously it went in, so I was standing up. Don't think I've stood up that long at the end of the game like I have today. So a win is a win.
What have you learned about this team through these last second and last play wins?
And we don't give up. You give us a chance to go down and win a game. That's usually what's going to happen. And I haven't been here long, but that's the way we practice. That's our mindset. Just give us a chance to go down and win.
What did you learn about Patrick in these situations? How is he in the huddle?
Calm. If we get a chance, if he get a chance with the ball in his hand, and he's going to execute. Him and Trav basically seal the game. That's what they do. I've been watching from a distance, so being able to watch it in person, it goes down not just, to him and Trav, but to everybody else, just being calm and executing.
We'll go a couple more. Good? Thanks, D-Hop.
And that was DeAndre Hopkins, our last player here in our locker room report, which is brought to you by Twin Peaks.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
All right, we're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll wrap up the Red and Gold postgame show on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And that was the magic of Mahomes, which is brought to you by Westlake Ace Hardware. Westlake Commercial, a division of Westlake Ace Hardware, is your local business-to-business supply partner. We are a commercial team dedicated business-to-business website. Credit terms and convenience store locations make it easy. Visit your local Westlake Ace Hardware store or www.westlakehardware.com/commercial today. Well, that's going to do it for us. Another edition of the Red and Gold Postgame Show on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Chiefs get it done, 19-17 over the Chargers, their 9th consecutive AFC West title. They are 12-1, hold the top spot in the AFC. Buffalo right behind them at 10-3, though they do have the tiebreaker with Kansas City. Pittsburgh, who the Chiefs will see here in a few weeks on Christmas Day, they are 10-3, 2 games back of the Chiefs. And the Texans, the other division leader, at 8-5. Chiefs will see them on December 21st. Up next, it'll be the Cleveland Browns. The Chiefs are a 6.5-point favorite on the road. The Browns are 3-10. Kickoff will be at noon. We'll have you covered after the game. But until then, you take it easy, Kansas City.